Hello everyone. Welcome to the Belmont Journal, Belmont's own program for hyperlocal news and community affairs programming. I'm your host, Roger Colton. The Belmont Select Board recently signed a letter of support for the Chabad Center for Jewish Life. The letter states in relevant part that the members of the Belmont Select Board expressed their shock over 3 recent attacks against the local Jewish community. The Select Board continued to say that it reaffirms that Belmont is a safe and welcoming community and that its citizens stand in solidarity against injustice and hate. The Select Board, it said, will always strive to maintain Belmont as a model for tolerance and will do all in its power to defend the community from prejudice, violence, and intimidation. Well, the class of 2019 has been graduated. Here are some highlights of the graduation ceremony that BMC staff person Julie DiStefano has put together for our benefit.
On behalf of the administration, the faculty, and the students of Belmont High School, I would like to welcome you to our commencement ceremony for the class of 2019.
Your hard work, determination, and sleepless nights have all paid off.
Don't let a brief view of something or someone turn you away. There are often many sides to everything, and a first impression never shows you more than 1 or 2.
I think it's empowering to remember that we will always have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves. We can always grow into whoever we want to be.
They're going to better places, but our friends will be gone away.
Marissa Rose Cheka. Later on in life, when you think back to Belmont High School and all the friends and memories that you created, don't cry because it's over. Smile because you're a part of something special.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the class of 2019.
It's groundbreaking time in Belmont. After last week's groundbreaking for Belmont's new school, this week it was DPW's turn, and BMC's Jeff Hansel was there.
So we're thrilled to be here today. This is a very short-term project. We hope to have this done by late fall. So we'll be back here again, hopefully before Thanksgiving, to do a ribbon cutting. So mark that on your calendars. And then just a reminder that this is only temporary and that our long-term goal is a whole brand new building within the next 10 years. So keep that in the back of your heads as well.
We have worked with many committees, and this committee has been very careful, thinking through each building, each option, always asking tough questions, making sure we get it right. We've spent a lot of time around the table trying to figure out how to make this building work, how to make the police department work. We finally got there, and I think the most exciting time for me is now that the dust is going to fly. We're going to get it.
We're all very excited to see this happen. You've been great neighbors, the DPW, and we're all supportive, and thank you.
Thank the committee, thank everybody who has invested time and energy in making this work, and a particular shout out to Anne Marie Mahoney, whose leadership has actually been critical in getting this project to work. I mean, if we look back 3 or 4 years ago, those of us in town meeting, I think we're looking at these projects as this sort of daunting, how are we going to get this done, too many demands on the town's resources and budget. And I think under Anne Marie Mahoney's leadership, as well as the committee and a number of folks throughout the town, we found a way to do it in a way that gets it done, meets the needs of the community, and does it very fiscally responsible way. So thank you very much, and look forward to the ribbon cutting in a couple of months.
Welcome to This Week in the Belmontonian. I have with me today Franklin Tucker, who is the editor and publisher of the Belmontonian, Belmont's online source for hyperlocal news. Franklin, you were at town meeting last night, and town meeting approved next year's budget.
That's
Can you
right.
bring us up to date?
That's right. The fiscal 20 budget. It was approved. It was 128.32 million. What we saw is we saw a little bit over inflation, double inflation for the town side, and almost triple inflation for the school side. 6.4% for the schools and 4.4% increase for the town. Most of that has to do with, and then there was a large increase in health insurance, an 8% increase in premiums. And also there was a big increase on non-discretionary costs, which was, of course, the debt that's going for the new middle and high school.
We just borrowed $100 million, so we have to start making payments.
That's right, you have to pay
Remarkable
for it.
how that happened.
Yes, it is.
Now, there were some people who questioned whether there was adequate analysis presented to town meeting.
Yes, very politely. There was no shouting,
Yes.
nothing like that. But a week ago, Sue Bass, during the capital budget expenditures, questioned whether the town needed a new fire truck. And this year, Klaus Becker, again, like he asked last year, asked a little bit about, asked for more analysis in terms of public safety. Do we need these police officers, especially when we have a lower crime rate? So a lot of that has to do with just increased analysis, and do we really, can you justify these expenditures? And that is what both Klaus and Bass was saying, is that that's what we expect the warrant committee to be doing. Lori Slapp last night said that she heard those requests.
She's chair of the warrant committee.
She's chair of the warrant committee, and she said that she heard those requests, and they'll be in the analysis next year.
And people, during the discussions or during the presentations, Patrice Garvin talked about a possible override next year.
I think it's. I don't think it's possible. I think it's very likely, unless money starts raining down from the sky. A lot of that has to do with just that we've spent the money from the last override, which we spread over 5 years instead of 3 years. So that was a great thing. But there's another financial task force that will be looking at that, and we'll probably have something by the fall. We'll know a number that the town will be short.
And she's going to present town meeting with a budget with the override and a budget without the override.
That's right.
So people know exactly
where the pain and suffering will probably be if you don't pass the override.
Okay, let's close the door on the budget and let's talk about the proposals to put wireless in Belmont Center.
That's right. It is 5G, which is now in the United Kingdom. They all have 5G there. So in the United States, we're trying to catch up with that.
AT&T is backed away.
That's right. AT&T had two proposals, one on Belmont Center and one on Channing Road. They've now requested that those be pulled, which will give the town now the ability to set up a one-time shopping where you can talk about these, where the companies will have to talk about aesthetics and ownership and everything else under the sun. So it's going to be a little bit easier process.
Except for health impacts. Health impacts have been preempted by federal law.
That's right. For the last 20 years, you basically cannot deny a company to put in those kind of systems because of health concerns.
And AT&T will be back?
Oh, they certainly will.
That's great. We've been speaking with Franklin Tucker of the Belmontonian, Belmont's online source for hyperlocal news. Welcome to This Week in the Belmont Citizen Herald. I have with me today Joanna Juvelis, who is the senior multimedia journalist for the Belmont Citizen Herald and for Wicked Local Belmont. Joanna, you've been covering the deliberations of the school committee and the select board regarding a possible new ice rink, and they made an important decision this week.
Very important decision from both parties, and that is to move forward with an RFP for a public-private partnership for a new rink in Belmont. Most likely a rink and a half.
And we have talked in Belmont about public-private partnerships, but can you briefly explain or
Sure.
what that is?
What it means is a private developer would lease the land from the town to build a rink. The private developer would pay for the building of the rink, they would pay for the maintaining of the rink, and they would run the rink. However, this RFP would include conditions, things that the town would get in exchange. They want to make sure they get ice time for their athletes. They want to make sure they get the right amount of parking. They want to make sure they preserve.
Traffic would be an issue, I would
Right.
think, that would need to be addressed on the front end.
And they want to preserve the 3 JV fields. That is really important. And Superintendent John Phelan said, if we don't get these things that are non-negotiable, then we won't enter into the public-private partnership.
So what I just heard you say is that simply because the RFP is going to be prepared and released this fall doesn't mean that any response to the RFP needs to be accepted. The town and the school committee could still say no, that there are non-negotiable things that have to be there.
Yes. But as Superintendent Phelan said, it would be a disservice to taxpayers if we don't do this.
Well, Roy Epstein, our new select board member, asked why we couldn't just go out for a debt exclusion and have the taxpayers decide whether to increase taxes and avoid the public-private partnership. Was there a response to that?
He did bring that up as an idea because he said there's been savings on the borrowing for the high school that they didn't anticipate because of lower interest rates. But that is not something they want to consider at this time. They want to try the public-private partnership first and not put the burden on the taxpayers, especially because there's an override that is most likely inevitable in Belmont's future.
And we know that something is going to happen because it was stated the other night that the ice rink is really on its last legs.
Yeah,
Patrice
probably only
Garvin-
has about 2 years of life left, according to the town administrator.
So what happens going forward now?
Going forward, over the summer, the town administrator is going to be very busy working on the draft of this RFP. They'll have another public forum for community input. They have to decide where it's going to go as well, Roger. There are some, the architect for the high school project made some renderings of where it could possibly go, but in the end, the developer, when they come back with their proposal, will have to say, we propose we'll put it here, and by putting it here, we can preserve the field space. Preserving that field space is key, and the location of the field space matters because of where the sun is as well. Because you don't want sun in players' eyes.
So we will see an RFP this fall and presumably receive responses to that by mid to late fall.
And if there is an RFP that's accepted, a proposal that's accepted, then special town meeting will be voting on it in the fall as well.
That's great. Thanks for bringing us up to date.
You're welcome.
We've been speaking with Joanna Juvelis, who is the senior multimedia journalist for the Belmont Citizen-Herald in Wicked Local Belmont. Here is Jane Peters to tell us about all there is to do in Belmont in the coming week. Before we begin, however, let's listen in as Jane interviews Hal Shubin at the grand opening of this year's Belmont Farmers Market.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's community calendar. Before we get into next week's events, we are here where the parking lot in Belmont Center is being transformed into the Belmont Farmers Market for the first time this year. We're here today on Thursday, June 6th. And I'm here with Hal Shubin. Hal, how you doing?
I'm well.
And tell us how much work has gone in since the last time we might have seen you back in October.
Yeah. So the market ended at the end of October, and we started planning in November, meeting every month, talking to new vendors, trying to round up a great variety of folks to have here today.
Great. And we couldn't ask for better weather today. It's a beautiful day.
It's not raining.
Yeah, it's not raining. We'll take that.
That's all I need.
After this spring. And so can you tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on today? There's going to be a ribbon cutting, and there's lots of stuff going on with the community tent and things like that.
So at 2 o'clock we're going to have Roy Epstein, the newest member of the select board, cut the ribbon, and we'll have bell ringing to open the season, and there'll be a trumpet fanfare, and we've got 2 different bands performing today. And there'll be community information as well. We like to think of this as a real community event. It's not just food, it's coming down and meeting people, running into people you know, and learning about what's going on in town. So that's going to be really good.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the vendors that might be a little bit new this year and some things that you might be doing in the tents that might be new this year, different from previous years?
So behind us we have When Life Gives You Lemons, so that's going to be lemonade here. Right here we've got Hutchins Farm. They've been with us for a number of years, great produce. We have Just Hummus, which is a hummus vendor. We have a new honey vendor this year. I've got to look around because there's so much going on.
Still setting up.
Yeah, we have a new meat vendor, Lilac Hedge Farm. We've seen them at other markets and really, really like them quite a lot. You can come down and get a snack, and get a whole meal, get prepared food, meat, dairy, oil.
Great. And also we want to make sure that we touch on the farmers market matches a lot of benefits that people can take advantage of. Can you talk a little bit about some of those?
Sure. One of the important things for us is to make sure that everybody gets to take advantage of the great food that we have here. So the market matches SNAP benefits. SNAP is what used to be called food stamps. So we'll match up to $20 in SNAP benefits per week. There's also the HIP program that the state runs, which is between $40 and $80 worth of free produce to any SNAP recipient. And then once the summer starts, there are coupons for seniors and mothers with small children that we match as well. So that's an important part of our mission and the mission of our parent organization, which is the Belmont Food Club. And here's the ad. We appreciate donations to help support the food assistance program. We have we have 5 sponsors this year. Some of them are new that are helping us to do that. Yeah.
Great. So a lot of the money comes from sponsors and also donations.
Yeah.
When people are donating to the farmers market, goes towards programs like that.
Yes.
Great. So awesome things to keep in mind. You know, there's more than just food here. There's lots of community events going on. They've got tons of different kinds of food, things you can take home with you and eat tonight, things you can take home to make dinner tomorrow.
That's right.
So we hope that you guys have an awesome season. As a reminder to people, the farmers market opens at 2 o'clock on Thursdays.
Right. We're open until 6:30. We're open until 6:30 until Labor Day, and then after Labor Day it's 2 until 6 because it just gets cold and dark.
Great.
And there's no market on the 4th of July.
Ah, all right. Well, that makes sense. All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for being here.
We hope that you have an awesome season.
Great. Do some shopping before you leave.
Absolutely. This is your community calendar for next week. The Belmont Police Department and Sergeant William Reagan will be hosting a women's self-defense class on Tuesday at 4:30 at the Beach Street Center. The first part of the class will focus on information about safety and situational awareness, while the second will feature more hands-on learning of techniques and strategies to use when attacked. Save your spot by calling the Beach Street Center. Multilingual families can attend a series of classes on helping their child succeed at school on Tuesday and Wednesday in the Wellington Community Room at 6. Students in grades 3 and 4 are invited to the BHS cafeteria on Wednesday to try out instruments they have the opportunity to play in school next year. In grade 4, students have the opportunity to play a string instrument, and in grade 5, students can select a string or band instrument. The Instrument Petting Zoo gives students the chance to play the instruments they may be interested in and to meet music teachers. Book lovers can enjoy author talks at Belmont Books on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. On Wednesday, memoir authors Grace Toulousan and Joanna Rakoff visit to discuss Toulousan's The Body Papers and Rakoff's My Salinger Year. On Thursday, visit with poet Charles Coe as he discusses his 3rd volume, Memento Mori, a meditation on morality, change, and loss. And on Saturday, Jared Williams, author of Rabbit Ninja, will be visiting. Learn more about the authors and their books at belmontbooks.com. Belmont World Film observes World Refugee Month with a series of films on 3 successive Mondays, beginning June 10th. The films will be screened at the West Newton Cinema, but you can view a photography exhibit at Studio Cinema during the series. The Bay State, a multicultural landscape, Photographs of New Americans, features a selection from photographer Mark Chester's collection of 190 photos of immigrants living in Massachusetts. Learn more at belmontworldfilm.org. The Junior Police Academy gives juniors ages 12 to 16 the chance to learn some of the things officers learn in a real police academy. Topics include defensive tactics, motor vehicle laws and car stops, drug ID and investigation, computer forensics, social media safety, and more. Students can sign up for the academy from July 8th to 19th at Waltham High School. The class runs from 8:30 to 2:15. Sign up on Belmont Recreation Department's website. And that's all for next week. If you'd like your event featured in Belmont Journal's community calendar, you can send your event info to Jane at belmontmedia.org.
Sustainable Belmont's second Fix-It clinic was held in late May at the public library. Fix-It coaches were there to help residents bring in lights, lamps, bicycles, and other appliances rather than throwing them away. The Belmont Journal was there.
Sustainable Belmont, Sustainable Arlington, and the Belmont Public Library are working together to organize this Fix-It clinic.
So I got this lamp.
Okay.
It's super cool, old kind of reclaimed place they go to, those fancy flea markets, and bring them back. So it's mid-century modern kind of, it's old. And when we turn it on, it either kind of crackly flickers and then it turns on, or we turn it and then it doesn't turn on.
Okay, you've tried it with multiple bulbs.
The philosophy of the Fix-It clinic is that people come in with their items that are broken that would otherwise go to the waste stream, and we've got some volunteer Fix-It coaches who are your neighbors and your friends, and they work with you to figure out what's wrong with the table or what's wrong with the television, and to try to figure out a solution. It's not a place where people will repair something for you. You're part of the process. The idea is that we also want people to, especially young kids, to start thinking about items that are broken things as repairable instead of disposable. Keep things out of the waste stream that way, and just change the culture around disposability. We can fix anything here. The coaches do anything from knife sharpening, scissor sharpening, fixing electronics. We're working on a turntable in here today. We fixed a vacuum cleaner. We fixed a lamp. We fixed the table. There's clothes mending, jewelry repair. Anything that you can carry in can be looked at. And if we can't fix it, we can at least have a conversation about what needs to happen in order for it to be fixed. Sometimes you might bring something to the Fix-It clinic and realize that you need a part. So you can get the part and then go to the next Fix-It clinic with the right equipment.
I came here today to get help trying to diagnose and fix my 2002 CRT tube Sanyo TV. Didn't work out so well today, but I am not giving up because these clinics depend on who volunteers, and sometimes people have different levels of expertise, so I'm going to try Cambridge and JP before I give up.
I help to organize Fix-It clinics and community repair events throughout the greater Boston area. One of my experiences is this great cross-generational thing, because younger people are a little bit more handier with the electronics repair and maybe computer repair, but some older folks in the neighborhood bring electrical repair and carpentry and mechanical savvy, and we've been able to learn from one another, and it's really wonderful. And overall, we're building a culture of repair.
The Belmont Youth Commission organizes events and fun activities for Belmont's elementary and middle school students. Recently, the commission held a scavenger hunt to test the knowledge that kids have about Belmont and about Belmont's history. Belmont Media Center was there to bring you the story.
Okay, once everybody's got a pen, and make sure that you've all signed up on a sheet. If we don't have your name on the sheet, then we can't work with you. So this young man will be happy to take your name. And after we have everybody with something to write with, we're going to say ready, set, go. And you guys are going to go fill out your sheets any way you can. We're going to hand out prizes as you come back in.
I'm Sue Morris, and I'm a member of the Youth Commission.
Okay, can you tell me what the Youth Commission is about?
Well, it's about trying to provide activities outside of school, primarily for middle school and elementary school kids who might be looking for things to do, especially on early release day afternoons like today. And we're just started earlier this year, so after a 10-year hiatus, so we're still sort of figuring out what works. So we had a movie day at the Belmont Theater on an early release day. We had Unplugged Week last week, and there was a game night at the library, scavenger hunt today. Well, there are 10 different questions, and the kids have to go around basically between Belmont Center and, say, the library area and answer the questions, write them down, come back with their answers. First prize wins a pass to the pool, and then we have 20 other smaller prizes like gift cards, and then pizza at the end. This is the best turnout so far of any of our events, so the weather helped because it's not raining for a change. Mostly, we're still sort of exploring whether high school kids would even really be interested in whatever we would have to offer, so we may try some things, but for now we're focused primarily on middle school and some elementary school kids.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Belmont Journal. As we sign off, let's watch what else is available on BMC's community television stations. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Roger Colton, and I will see you again next time.